Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's meeting. As we gather our soul flames, with the intention of inquiring into the nature of consciousness, what we do here, just zoom into your own body. I would like to start by quoting Yeshua from this beautiful book of Lars Muhl, The Wisdom of a Broken Heart, the Gospel of Yeshua and Miriam. And Thomas Muhl quotes the Gospel of Thomas here, as Yeshua says, if those who guide you say to you, behold, the kingdom is in heaven, then the birds of the sky will precede you. If they say to you, it is in the sea, then the fish will precede you. But the kingdom of heaven is within you and surrounds you. If you know yourselves, then you will be known. And you will know that you are children of the living God. But if you do not know yourselves, then you dwell in poverty, and you are poverty. Yeshua here points to something very direct. If you know yourself, you know that you are part of the living God. This could be even from the Avadhut Gita, the direct knowing, the direct attainment of consciousness he talks about. If you know yourselves, you know yourself to be the children of living God, which means that you are embodied consciousness. Now I'm going to go a step further. Is consciousness, as our modern science says, only the property of our brain? Is consciousness the property of our brain? This question has been asked by the Upanishads, the ancient Vedic texts. It's also talked about in the Bhagavad Gita, the great song. Krishna and Arjuna talk about the nature of the mind. And of course, modern philosophy talks about the nature of the mind. So I would pose the question, is consciousness only the property of our brain? And you will see where I'm going with this inquiry. Yeshua says that if you know yourself, you know that you are children of the living God, living God. Living is a very key word here, because the living means that there is God flowing through you. And there's nothing else. And I would call this God flowing through you as you at this moment being localized consciousness. And only because you have a body avatar, now I'm answering the question, is consciousness the property of the brain? No, it's not. Consciousness is something other than the brain, other than the mind. It's very much outside the mind. The three properties of ahamkar, which is your ego self. The I producing mechanism is aham, I am. The I am producing mechanism is outside of the domain of consciousness. The manas, which is the mind, is outside of the domain of consciousness. And the buddhi is a higher intelligence, is still outside of the domain of consciousness. But consciousness is the backdrop of all of these. So consciousness is a substratum. It's underlying your mind, your ego structure, personality, and also your higher intelligence, which is the buddhic intelligence that is connected to your viveka, the discerning faculty, which is much more than just your logical reasoning, much, much more. And now I'm going to say something of a key importance. If you just zoom into, because this is not theorizing here, this is a direct process of self-inquiry. Now, when I zoom into my body, that means that your body, as I noted many times, is within consciousness. And it is only due to the light of consciousness, which Babaji calls the lightless light, is that you know that you actually have a brain. It is due to the light of consciousness that you can perceive yourself. Because this is the mechanism through which the infinite, the absolute God can perceive itself. Otherwise, if there is no body, there's nobody, there's no body to perceive, to have faculties, then consciousness still exists. But it is through the body that consciousness can experience itself. And I'm noted also that this process is a very, very nuanced, gradual experience of deepening into the truth of who you are. And a lot of us kind of brush over these nuances. And the nuances are the indication of to what level you are deepening into the truth of yourself. It is so essential. So is consciousness the faculty of your brain? No. But it is due to the light of consciousness that you have that capacity to reflect, even the capacity to misunderstand that you are separate from God. That's also God's game. You have the reasoning capacity. You have the discerning capacity, the loving, the capacity to love. All of that is due to the fact that the light of consciousness shines through these faculties, just as when we are projecting a movie onto a screen. So the projector is the light of consciousness. I mean, it's a very crude example, but the light of the projector is shining through using the properties of the camera, just like the light is shown through this body mechanism, which, as we noted, there's 5 sheaths, mayas, from the gross all the way to the subtlest. And when we project that light, and then we have an image on the screen, that's what you experience as your body, but also as the world. Now, it's a very essential inquiry, because if you move back to the source of who you are, and Ramana Maharshi pointed to this very essential way of going directly back to the source, is by tracing your thoughts all the way back to the place of emanation, to the place from where they come. So let's try to do that. Let's just move into the body, completely slow down. Slow down your thinking. Slow down your breath. And just feel that you are within this beautiful field of consciousness. That is what Yeshua calls the living God. And he also says you are poor. You live in poverty if you do not know yourself. Just feel that there's this body, and you're feeling the entire body from head to toe, very direct. You're feeling the body, you're feeling the spine, and you're also tuning into the aliveness of the body, because it's due to this divine marriage of consciousness and energy that your body is animated. And what is directly animating your body moment to moment is your breath. So that is the divine soul breathing through you. If you do not know yourself, you're poor or live in poverty. So just consider that you have been given this divine blessing of having a body, because souls are standing in line to have this human experience. You have been granted this body, and the body has wonderful abilities. We cannot be the body because we say, I have a body. If I have a body, I cannot be the body. We're peeling the onion deeper and deeper and deeper. I have a body. I have feelings, sensations, thoughts. And consider the body this divine mechanism through which consciousness functions. Yes, on a very basic level, your mental capacity is the minuscule copy of God's mind, the Mahatattva. And we are here to purify that individuated mind here in your body that localizes you, locates you. You can actually find an XY axis. Now you're seated in this room, in this body, in this house or apartment or a car, in this country, on this planet. But you are part of the limitless and ever forthcoming creation of God, a becoming. We are a perpetual becoming. And you will see that once you truly go to the inception, you touch on that which you truly are. Then you stop being afraid of death. Because consciousness cannot die. Consciousness will just not be localized in this particular body. But then it could be localized first in your astral or etheric bodies as it's slowly leaving your sheaths after the time of death, physical death. But consciousness is ever present. And that is what Yeshua talks about, the living God. The living God, feel your entire body. It's not separate. The living God could not be called the living God if you could not have a direct experience. Just feel that. Feel directly, experience your body as if you've never experienced it before. Make it unfamiliar. Your mind, because it's very limited, thinks, oh, I know, this is me. I kind of have this dreaded feeling about myself. For many years, this is what it is. But now we're going to play. Make it seem completely unfamiliar. So you are unbound consciousness. And you can only get to know yourself because you are presently in a body. It is so powerful. Tune into the backside of your heart and feel your entire spine. It is a very freeing experience, actually, to find the source of who you truly are. And then go and inquire if you have feelings or you have thoughts, or even these thoughts or words that you're hearing coming from my mouth. They arise and they disappear. From somewhere, they arise and they disappear. Zoom into the right side of your heart. That is actually the place of your spirit. It is the seat of your I thought. When you are mired in the play of thoughts, which are also energies, and these energies whirl and create millions of thoughts. And they're entertaining your attention and focus. Right now, step to the back body. Feel your spine. And feel whatever arises in your field of perception. And you are now training yourself not to zoom in and start galloping away with a certain thought. You just let it go. Whatever intensity you feel in your body. It's allowed to be there. Whether it's pain, elation, joy. And once you become this space, you start healing. You become the space of consciousness, allowing the body to breathe, to feel, to think. And this is how you start merging the inside and the outside. You can call the body the world. And that invisible source that sustains your body is who you truly are. Living in poverty means that you live not in the center of no center, but you live in the periphery. You live the radius, the outskirts of the circle. In the outskirt, the delineation of the circle is you, which is undifferentiated consciousness, being just pulled out, pulled and channeled into. Feel it, channeled into your senses. Because consciousness is undifferentiated. It doesn't have its own will. It's subtle, it's light, it's all seeing, all knowing, all being. And when you have a faculty, when you have many faculties, then that subtle substratum gets channeled into your senses. And then your attention and focus is on the outside world. Even if you have your attention and focus on your body, it's already the world. Or the things that are happening in your psyche, pining after someone, or worrying about money, or wanting whatever you want. You see the difference? It's right here, right now. Feel the backside of your heart. I'm going to point more. I mean, it's just the pointing. Pointing to the inception, the placeless place, the centerless center. And feel as you move to the back body, backside of your heart on the right, you are freeing, liberating. It's very direct. Your consciousness, by liberating your attention and focus, ask, where is my attention and focus? Is it strictly my third eye? Is it very connected to my feeling of my body? Or am I able to expand? And as you are able to expand, you get familiar with the characteristics of your true nature. And you feel this immense divine light at the right side of your heart. You're tracing all of your thoughts as they emanate from the I, because the I maker, Ahamkar, is creating all your thoughts. And then deeper, the thoughts arise from certain energies. And I'm just pointing to the mechanism of separation, where instead of knowing yourself as living God, you know yourself as a body. Do you see what a slight difference this is? You know yourself as a body, a person in society. In both can be entirely true. That you are unbridled consciousness, expanded. And when I go back there, it's not really a back, but let's just use that. When we go to the inception, we go into this immense light that we are. And then when we feel our body, we know that this is consciousness utilizing this form to have an experience. Even the body. Have you ever thought of your body as an experience? Your body is an experience. Just feel how this immense light from the backside of your heart is now slowly burning away the body. It's making its frequency rise, 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 rise. The atomic structure and the subatomic particles start speeding up. And the heart starts to gain power, because it is that place where we are fully connected to the living God. And you can visualize how this immense light coming from the backside of your heart, as you were seated, as if you were seated in the sun. And you start dissolving the feeling of this form. And from this place at the center of your heart, you start feeling this pull upward from your heart to the higher heart, to your throat, to the center of your head, as if you were pulled up by this golden thread. Top of your head, out of your head, traversing your all of your bodies, your soul star chakra. Feel the soul star chakra just 12 inches above your head, the place of your higher self. And then you move up to your stellar gateway. And then this thread keeps on lifting. Connecting you to the pure divine field of Satpurush. We make an intention to leave this Brahmanda. Leave the Trimurti and leave the domain of Ka. Where our soul recognizes its pure abode, shining as the light of God. When you trace your origin back to the inception, which is a place of no place, center of no centers, it is that inner circle. And you recognize that inner circle does not have any confines. It's just as if you created a portal through which you went back to the heart of God. That realization allows you to feel your wholeness. The living God. As your source. Without this source, you would not be alive. You're just playing duality right now. And when we die, we emerge into the light of God. But it's better you realize this before you die. Yeshua called it die before you die. Just feel that your heart had been greatly expanded. And the heart becomes the source of limitless consciousness. And there's no difference between the ultimate abode in your heart. That is the ultimate realization. This is enlightenment, illumination. Where the drop merges with the sea. And most of us live in fear because our separateness is protected. We protect our separateness because we are afraid to merge with Source. That is exactly what keeps us in poverty. That is called the poverty of being, because we reinforce this feeling of separateness. You're separate from the living God. And if you train yourself to feel directly that the living God is actually breathing through you, and it's not a separate concept, you arrive. You just arrive. And you don't think about levels, don't think about theories. You just connect immediately. The inner circle does not have doors because it is a placeless place. It is that place you can trace yourself back from the backside of your heart. You open into this expansive being. And you can start truly living. Mark my words, you start living truly once you recognize that you are not limited to this body, to your thought, feeling, sensation, but you're that which allows everything to arise. Everything arises from nothing. And this is healing. When you start deconstructing that rigid clinging to your separateness, these are the steps you can take to liberate your attention and focus. Move to the back side of your heart and just plunge into the open, expanded, living, field of consciousness. It's not localized. It allows your body to rest, your nervous system to rest. Because you opened up, you're being drawn into the field of pure divine luminescence. And if there's thoughts arising, trace them. Ask yourself, where do these thoughts arise from? Because I can tell you that these thoughts and words, expressions, guide me and you, and they arise from source. We become servants of God, tools in God's hands, tools that are used in order to express the limitless love, intelligence, and the will of the living God. Liberation is available here right now. Liberation is not about a future moment. It is only because of our poverty. Poverty because we do not know who we are. We think that liberation is something to arrive to, work towards. But liberation is that true being who you truly are. And that is when your heart is fully opened by and through the light of divinity, where your heart becomes the center of no center. And you drop all illusion of separateness. It's not an act, it's just a realization firsthand. The presence of living God, dispelling all poverty, poverty of suffering, separation, and misunderstanding. So it is. Your authentic self is not in the heaven, not in the heavens. It's also not in the water, but it's everywhere. You are the locus, but the locus that has no center.